Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Well, Clemson hasn't won the series with USC since 2010. Looks like at this point that's going to end this afternoon over at Carolina Stadium. Tigers and Gamecocks playing the rubber game of their three-game series. Of course, the weather washed things out yesterday, froze things out as well. Much nicer today as far as the weather goes. The sun shining on the Tigers brightly. They lead the Gamecocks 5-0 as they play in the bottom of the seventh. The Tigers just plated 3 runs in the top of the seventh. They have 10 hits on the day. The Gamecocks right now with no runs, 4 hits, and they've committed 2 errors. They've not played good baseball today, and Clemson has. And so the series winds to a close. K-Mac is over at Carolina Stadium. I was there earlier. He came out of the bullpen to replace me, one righty for another. Back here in the studio with the State Man Graham Pope and Professor Tom Hayes here as well. And we have a special guest, Miss Deborah Johnson, who she and her family won the right to be here to watch Sports Talk tonight via a raffle, for lack of a better term, at a local elementary school here in Columbia, Rosewood Elementary. So it's our pleasure and honor to have them as our studio guests here tonight watching us do Sports Talk. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. So we'll talk about the series. Of course, we've got a lot of basketball to talk about too. USC women lose yesterday at Kentucky. USC men win. Clemson, they win as well on Saturday after blowing what appeared to be almost an insurmountable lead. It proved not to be insurmountable as Georgia Tech caught up but never took the lead. And Clemson won. The Tigers back in action tomorrow night against NC State. We've got tournaments getting underway, the Big South, where Charleston Southern is the co-champion. They received the bulk of the honors today in the Big South. Barkley Radebaugh, the coach of the year. Saw Nimley, the player of the year, be in Myrtle Beach later this week for the quarterfinals and semifinals and finals of the Big South. That should be a great tournament. Southern Conference tournament gets underway this week. SEC women, ACC women. So truly, March Madness is here.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what Wofford can do. I think Wofford is a dangerous matchup for any team because they play that control ball. They play great defense. They've got good outside shooters. And if they can get into the big dance and just stay away from Dayton and get into the field of 64, they can do some damage in this tournament. I can see them going to the second, and if they get the right draw, that'll be interesting. As far as South Carolina is concerned, the bugaboo that's hurt Clemson for the past few years in these series is caught up with South Carolina today because the bullpen has coughed up 5 runs. I think Clark Schmidt has had a difficult time today, and they've committed 2 errors, which is something South Carolina normally does not do.
All right, they're going to the 8th, and we'll catch up with K-Mac and get a live update from Carolina Stadium for you. Oh, yeah, Clemson began spring football practice today. We'll hear from the Tigers. So Monday of a ton of big news stories that we'll get into. Of course, the biggest news story of the day, it finally happened. Hard to believe. Today's the day. Steve Spurrier took to Twitter. Steve Spurrier, and this isn't a fake account, the real Steve Spurrier started tweeting today at the behest of his coaching staff to become more modern with the younger football coaches in the world. He immediately gained over 32,000 followers within just, I don't know, minutes, hours, however long it takes. It's pretty quick. But let me tell you, you're going to be wasting your time. I mean, you can follow him, obviously, because if you're a Gamecock fan, you want to follow the coach of the Gamecocks, but you're not going to get one iota of consequential information or substantial information from him. Don't expect to hear, like on Twitter from Spurrier, who the starting quarterback's going to be going into the North Carolina game. He saves that for his radio show. All right, now he gets paid for the radio show. He doesn't get paid for going on Twitter. But he is on Twitter now, and so that's just another sign of the great apocalypse that is hitting the sports world that Steve Spurrier has caved in. Can you misquote yourself? Absolutely, you can. All right, 800-956-7266. All right, Tiger fans, what do you think about what your baseball team is doing? Does this stop all the Jack Leggett bashing that has been going on since last season and even into this year? This Clemson team looks, at least from what I saw in this series, and I saw 2.5 games, the first two, and then half of this one today. They have some very good parts. They got some guys that can hit the long ball. Their pitching was pretty good throughout this series. Their defense held together. So, you gotta feel good if you're a Clemson fan about what you've seen from this weekend. 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com, on Twitter @sportstalksc. The website, sportstalksc.com. We'll have complete post-game coverage for you there as well as here on the show. And on Facebook, Sports Talk Radio Network. Let's jump over to Carolina Stadium. K-Mac, we brought him in out of the bullpen to relieve me because I needed to be relieved. And he is there now watching the final innings of the rubber game between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. And as I mentioned, K-Mac, it certainly looks like the Tigers are going to end the series losing streak. First, they ended the losing streak to the Gamecocks at 4 games. Now it looks like they're going to end the series losing streak that dates back for them to 2010.
Yeah, and in that 2010 season, the Gamecocks beat them in Omaha to advance, as we know, to the championship. So, that streak definitely looks like it's going to end. The Gamecocks with 2 outs here in the 8th. They're trailing 5-0. Clemson pretty much put the nail in it in the top half of the 7th when they scored 3 runs off Schmidt to make it a 5-0 game. So I don't think Steve Spurrier is going to be tweeting anything about this baseball game anytime soon.
Nope, he probably won't. Now everybody be jumping on Chad Holbrook's back. Oh, there you go. Now you can't beat Clemson.
Yeah, he's no good. It's the program's falling in the dumps. Yeah, that's the first thing. I was going to make this comment. I was going to wait till the game went final, though. But does this mean that Clemson fans will say Jack Leggett knows how to coach again? Will Dan Radakovich give him some space? This guy has taken an unjust beating the past couple of seasons, in large part because he was losing to South Carolina, a South Carolina team that was beating everybody. I mean, it's not like the Gamecocks have been bad, and he really was taking too much heat. The program hadn't fallen into the doldrums either. So, if anything, this should get some people back on the Clemson bandwagon, i.e. Tiger fans back on board, perhaps.
Well, looking at the game, K-Mac, Clark Schmidt had been effective in all his outings so far this early in the season. What was he doing in that 7th that cost South Carolina 3 runs?
Well, he got the first out, and then he had a ball come back up the box, and it hit him in the back of the leg, and then Max Schrock just kind of had a rough go of it today. He didn't field it cleanly, so the runner moved to third, and the runners were on the corner, and Stephen Duggar, who's a great hitter, as we all know, an All-American type player, he battled, had a full count, and then he took one out into the left field gap. And the ball almost left the park but landed at the fence, and that kind of opened up the floodgates for him there. Wild pitch also contributed there, and a fielder's choice scored a run. And bing, bang, boom, 3 runs on the board for the Tigers, and they have a 5-run lead.
And that sounds like what Clemson had been doing the last few years, botching balls, giving up 4 and 5 out innings, and now South Carolina, it's cost them today.
Yeah, I mean, you can't give good teams extra outs. And, baseball, God giveth and they taketh away. And every break had kind of gone South Carolina's way in this series for a while. And you knew Clemson was going to come back eventually, and that's what happened. These are two really good teams. And I'll say this, Gamecock fans don't want to get down on this squad. It's March 2nd. There's a long time until June when you're going to be playing meaningful baseball, late May or June. And I think both of these teams are built to have a chance to really be good this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's way too early. As we say, you can't judge the team, either one of them, by the result of this particular series. Brody Kerner's been outstanding all day. He's still in. K-Mac, 7 2/3 innings to this point, 4 hits, no runs. He's thrown 100 pitches. I guess he's still in the ballgame.
Yeah, he just got out of the 8th inning. He has been sharp, but really aggressive on that inside half of the plate. The Gamecocks haven't really had an answer for him all day. He's just gone right after them on the inner half, and his breaking ball has been working for him. And he's throwing your breaking ball for a strike, and it's 82, 83, 84 miles an hour. That's pretty good stuff for him, and that's your number 3 starter. You got to be feeling pretty good if you're Jack Leggett.
Yeah, and also you have to like the fact that your 2 through 5 hitters have combined for 7 hits today. So the heart of the Tigers lineup getting it done. And Oki's got a couple of RBIs. He was slumping. He had gotten off to a slow start before this series, but he's picked it up for the Tigers in this series. You mentioned Duggar. He's got a couple of hits. Krieger's got a couple of hits. Roman has a couple of hits as well. So the Tigers with 10 hits, they're rolling. They're up 5-0 going to the top of the 9th. We'll go ahead and cut you loose and wait for the post game from you in just a little bit.
Yeah, it should be short, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll hear from the Tigers. Typically, after the game in Columbia, they do the Tigers out in front of their dugout, Jack and some players, and then they'll do the Gamecocks inside the interview room after that, and we'll have all that for you coming up here on the program. Also, we'll have coverage from Clemson's first day of spring practice. That's wrapping up right about now. We'll hear also from Clemson basketball coach Brad Brownell. No rest for the Tigers. I've got to check. Is there any team in the country that's played more Saturday, Tuesday games than Clemson? I mean, the turnaround for them this year has been tough in many occasions.
All you got to do is look at the ACC. Who are the big ogres as far as football is concerned? Clemson and Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Check both of their schedules. They're the 2 teams that got the shaft this year.
So stick it to the basketball team because the success of the football team.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Well, they got to turn around and play a 9 o'clock game tomorrow night. On top of that, you got the short turnaround, and then they sentence you to another 9 o'clock tip at Little John. But the Tigers won on Saturday. Good win for them. They did everything they could to lose that game to Georgia Tech. What were they up? 23
points in the first half.
Yeah, 23. And Tech just gradually gnawed away at the lead and never took the lead, but they did catch up at the very end, and Clemson blew the chance to win in regulation, but they did dominate in overtime. But Tech's had one of those years. I don't know if it's going to be enough to save Brian Gregory's job.
It should.
Because it's been just a year of close losses. I mean, as a coach, as a team, you got to find a way to win some of those games.
Well, you got to, but I got to think that if you're really improving, which they have done this year, and they're a good, aggressive rebounding team, they play pretty good defense, and that new arena, you could talk about it's in the same place as the old Alexander Memorial Coliseum, but that's a palace now at Georgia Tech. And it's just like the late Al McGuire used to say, if you can't recruit Atlanta and those guys fly in to see that airport, hey, you can't recruit. So give them a chance to recruit some players. I think Tech will be back there. But Georgia Tech always plays Clemson tough. And even though Clemson has had an up and down, I guess you could say, as far as basketball is concerned in the ACC, that's one of the rivalries that people don't talk about in ACC basketball. Georgia Tech and Clemson probably play as close a contest in basketball as any 2 teams in the ACC.
Tigers with a chance to get back to 500 in the league. They're 7-8, and they are 15-12. No, I take that back. They are back to 500 in the league. I'm looking at some old standings. So a chance to go over 500 in league play with a win tomorrow night. Back in a moment. Yeah, Clemson's tied for 7th in the ACC right now at 8-8. They can move ahead of NC State. They're tied with NC State, 8-8. Boy, NC State, they really shot themselves in the head, losing to Boston College, which is last place team in the ACC. They just came off a win over North Carolina. They're feeling great about themselves. They're thinking they're a lock for the NCAA tournament. Now they've just unlocked themselves to some degree by losing to that Boston College team. NC State's 8-8, Miami's 8-8, Pittsburgh is 8-8 as well. Syracuse 9-7, and Syracuse plays Virginia tonight. So you got to kind of figure that Virginia will win that game, and Syracuse will fall to 9-8. Clemson's got a chance to move past Syracuse. They still have a chance for some upward mobility. Now they have to go to Notre Dame, close out the regular season. That'll be very tough for them on the road. But, you know, if you're Clemson and you can finish 9-9 in this league in ACC play, that's not bad. It's probably not going to be good enough to get you into the NCAA tournament unless you win the ACC tournament, but it's going to get you to the NIT again.
Yeah, I would think probably they've got to do some damage in the ACC tournament. I tell you what, some of these teams in here that look tough, I mean, like if you get Louisville on a good day when they're throwing up bricks like they usually do, you can upset Louisville in the ACC tournament. I'm convinced of that. NC State, you don't know what team is going to show up from day to day. The most Jekyll and Hyde team in the ACC that we've had in some time. Now, as far as Clemson and the NIT, we got to get some teams in the NCAA, because if not, the NIT is going to be crowded with Palmetto State teams, because if Wofford doesn't win their tournament, Charleston Southern doesn't win their tournament, it's going to be a lot of South Carolina's in there.
You got to think that Wofford's got a good chance to win their tournament. Charleston Southern, what a game. Well, I would have loved to have been that game at the Buck Dome on Saturday with High Point. What was it?
Triple overtime.
Triple overtime, and Charleston wins it to get a share of the championship and the number 1 seed. Son Nimley went for 38, and I was just looking at the box score from that game the other night, and boy, I tell you, he was lighting it up. Let's see here. Nimley, who was the player of the year this year in the league, 11 of 26, 8 3-pointers, 8 for 8 from the line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 38 points.
Well, you know what scares you about that, and not to throw any cold water on Charleston Southern, how many times have we seen teams reach what seems to be the zenith of their play, and then they get into tournament play and just for whatever reason can't reach that plateau again?
Yeah.
South Carolina, of course, when they upset Kentucky on senior day in '97, they go in the tournament and lose the second game to Georgia. Coastal Carolina wins the Big South. They have the game in their old arena, in that packed arena, and they can't get out of their way, and Winthrop wins the tournament. And now here's Charleston Southern with a chance after this big game. Let's see if they can keep that focus up from what they did on Saturday.
You know who plays for High Point now? Former Gamecock Brian Richardson. Had 9 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 of 11 from the floor. So he still has his career going. Back in a moment. Well, depending on your point of view, it's gone from good to great or bad to worse. It's 7-0 Clemson as they play in the top of the ninth. The Gamecocks coming apart at the seams. They have committed, let's see, how many more
4 errors?
Well, I'm just looking for this inning. They've committed, looks
2.
like 1 error in this inning, right?
I think it's 2.
Anyway, Clemson now up 7-0, and they're still batting. And so this one's, for all practical purposes, is in the books. Don't expect the Gamecocks to rally from 7 down, though in baseball anything is possible. But this will give Clemson a series win over South Carolina for the first time in baseball since the 2010 season. And as you'll no doubt hear in the post game, what does it mean? You know, USC went on to win the national championship in 2010, despite losing this series to Clemson. They got their chance to play the Tigers in Omaha. So it meant really it was good for both teams. Both teams made it to Omaha, and South Carolina was able to come up with that fantastic performance from Michael Roth to get past the Tigers in that showdown game, and went on and won their first national championship. So, again, I think both head coaches will say it's great. I mean, Jack's going to feel great. For them, it's kind of a breakthrough series for their mindset, but he's going to say this series is not going to define our season, and Chad Holbrook's going to say the same thing. You know, Clemson's a good team. He said that from the very beginning. They've got good players. Wilson's an outstanding hitter. We saw his power. Duggar, we know, is an outstanding hitter. Their pitching is better than they've been given credit for. It's all kind of come together, and Clemson had some flaws. I mean, they made some mistakes. Like on Friday night, lucky for them, the game was so out of reach because they had one play in the field where a high fly ball dropped amongst 3 fielders for a base hit. Then they had another play where Andrew Cox hit a high pop up, and it fell in fair territory in between some Gamecock fielders. But he stood at home plate and didn't run, and they threw him out at first base. He could have actually been at second. The ball was hit so high, he could have. If he'd have taken off and run hard, he could have been at second base. But he stood there. It's a mistake. It's a mental mistake. It's a fundamental mistake. But they had the big lead. It didn't come back to haunt them. So outside of that, they've played a pretty solid baseball this weekend in South Carolina. But the 4 errors today, I'd have to go back and look and see how many errors they had coming in. It's probably going to give them at least 6 or 7 errors in the series, which is – this is a USC team that was fielding at a 985 clip coming in. They hadn't kicked the ball around at all. So maybe it's the Gamecocks that choked. It's the Gamecocks that choked.
No,
today.
Clemson just played a better brand of baseball. As we said before the series started, I said for Clemson to be successful, they need to.
Baseball too.
But I'm saying when you look at the last 3 years, especially when South Carolina won those 2 series. There was 3 series in a row. The last 2 years, Clemson's been pressing. You could tell it. And I think this particular series, they've relaxed, played their game, and they were successful at it. And I thought the biggest thing out of this is their pitching. There's no doubt about it, because they're going to need that pitching when they deal with Virginia. Because I think it's any team that they have to challenge, it's Virginia.
6 errors for the Gamecocks in the series. So that's not good baseball by any means. And a couple of those early errors today, and you can say, well, errors, how many of them actually led to runs? And a couple of those errors early in the game today did lead to runs. So it did come back to haunt them. All right, 800-956-7266, the number. If you want to join in on the program, email talkback@sportstalksc.com. As I mentioned, a lot of big stories today, and not just the fact that Steve Spurrier no longer has a flip phone for his cell phone. He's got a smartphone now, and he can actually tweet and participate in the social media world. Let's update a few other things, a lot of stuff. Where do you want to begin? Let's talk about Vic Hampton, the former Gamecock cornerback who was arrested in Charlotte over the weekend on charges of driving while impaired, open container after consumption, speeding, and reckless driving. He was waived today by the Baltimore Ravens.
Was this on the moped?
No, this wasn't on a moped. This apparently was in a 4-wheeled vehicle. And, if any team in the NFL is going to have absolutely no tolerance for player misbehaving, it's going to be the Ravens.
Yes.
You're on the wrong team to go out and get in trouble. So he's done as far as Baltimore is concerned. That's a shame. Here's a guy that, left school a year early, probably made a mistake, but had fought his way onto an NFL roster only to drink it away, apparently. So that's bad news for him. Meantime, Shamik Blackshear, the USC signee, defensive end from Bluffton, who was to have a court appearance tomorrow for a pending petty larceny charge. That appearance will not take place tomorrow. His attorney told the Island Packet the case has been continued as they wait for Bluffton police to provide evidence in the discovery pretrial phase. So neither the attorney nor Blackshear will appear in court tomorrow. Blackshear was charged February 13th with petty larceny after allegedly taking a purse and a safe from a home February 7th, 2 days after he signed with the Gamecocks. 3 witnesses told police they saw him take the items valued at just under $1,400, but Blackshear told police he was never at the house. Mm-hmm. So it's his word against 3.
I've watched a lot of law.
How does that work in legal cases?
I don't know,
if
because
it's your
I
word
watched
against
a lot
3?
of Law and Order and Perry Mason, and $1,400 does not sound like petty larceny to me.
Well, I guess this time, with the way the economy is and the way the stock market has inflated everything. But here's my question: we need an attorney to call in. If it's 1 against 3 in the eyewitness department, who usually wins?
It depends. It depends on the credibility of the 3 and the 1.
Yeah. So South Carolina is basically still standing by their man. They're going to wait for the legal process to play out before making a decision on him. How about this story? Now, this is one that will take some time to wrap your head around, because we're talking about Mike Krzyzewski and we're talking about Duke. All right. Now, Rashid Suleiman, he was dismissed from the Duke team on January 29th, the first player Krzyzewski had ever dismissed in his 35 years as a coach. At the time, they said he was released because of, quote, repeatedly struggled to meet the necessary obligations, end quote, of the program. Well, the Duke student newspaper, the Chronicle, is reporting that Suleiman was at the center of sexual assault allegations prior to being dismissed from the team. In response to 4 inquiries during today's ACC conference call, Krzyzewski responded, quote, I don't have any comment about that. Suleiman is still a student in good standing at Duke. On Monday, the Chronicle reported that 2 female students came forward during the last school year and publicly said they were sexually assaulted by Suleiman. The students made the accusations at varsity retreats and never filed official complaints with the school or Durham police. Krzyzewski and assistant coaches Nate James and Jeff Capel were made aware of the allegations in March of 2014. The Chronicle reported the athletic director, Kevin White, was also aware of the allegations. On January 22nd, a student assistant in the basketball office reported the allegations, then quit his job. Deputy Director of Athletics Mike Craig requested a meeting with the student the next day. Suleiman was dismissed 6 days later. You have this stumped look on your face.
No, I don't, because to me, and I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush, but it shows how things are done at a private school versus a state school.
Well, here's the first thing
where
that jumps out at
information
me.
is all over
How
the
does
place.
the student newspaper get this story and not the Durham Herald Sun or the Raleigh News and Observer, the big, massive newspapers who are all over that program? How does the student newspaper dig this up?
One reason, because they've always been a foil of Krzyzewski. Remember when Krzyzewski was always attacked the student newspaper for printing stories?
Yeah.
They've always been his foil.
All right, it's a 4-hit shutout for Brody Kerner, and Clemson beats the Gamecocks 7-0, winning the series 2-1. Both teams are 7-3. Clemson snaps South Carolina's 6-game winning streak in the series at Carolina Stadium, and they win the series for the first time since 2010. Kerner won the Bob Bradley Award as Clemson's MVP of the series. Earned the victory in his first career appearance against the Gamecocks. Josh Reagan took the loss for South Carolina. Tigers scored single runs in the second and third. Eli White's 2-out run-scoring single on the 1-2 pitch in the second inning was a highlight in the seventh. Stephen Duggar belted a double to score Reed Roman. Then Tyler Krieger, who earlier extended his hitting streak to 12, scored on Chris Oakey's ground-out. Duggar also scored on a wild pitch. Tigers added 2 insurance runs in the ninth. They return to the diamond tomorrow against Winthrop. I'm reading a Clemson release, by the way, if you're wondering why it's slanted towards Clemson. Tigers win it 7-0. They got their release out in a hurry. South Carolina hasn't gotten their release out just yet. So a win for the Tigers, 7-0. I mentioned at the outset we're joined by Miss Deborah Johnson and members of her family, because they put in a bid to come in and watch Sports Talk. This is part of a fundraiser for Rosewood Elementary School here in Columbia. And so you won it, and you're here, and we're glad to have you.
Delighted to be here, Phil.
Yeah, is it fascinating watching people
Absolutely.
sit around running their mouths?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you're not a Gamecock fan, are you?
I am a Gamecock fan.
Yeah, how you feeling right now?
I'm not real happy.
Yeah. Because it's just losing just gets you. Is it losing or losing to the Tigers? That really
Well,
gets
both
me?
of them are pretty lousy.
Yeah.
But maybe double lousy losing to the Tigers.
Yeah. You never expected that, did you?
I expected it. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Well, the law of averages, like Tom said,
Mhm.
it's got to come back. They've
Come
got
back
to come back.
Sooner or later.
Yes.
How long have you been a Gamecock fan? I don't want you to, just give away any personal information that you don't want to share, but in general terms,
50 years.
50 years a Gamecock fan.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
And so how are you feeling about the way things have been going today, excluded? How do you feel things are going, generally speaking, with the athletic department?
Well, in all the time I've been here and have been a fan, this obviously, outside of the troubles with the basketball team, is winning that first national championship was pretty exciting, and the second one also.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that the first championship we defeated UCLA, and all my family are UCLA grads.
Really?
Yes. So
that was sort of a mixed bag of emotions, I'm sure.
well, they just kind of patted me on my head because they have 90.
Yeah, but come on. They've got him in, what do they got him? They've got him in swimming and diving and water polo and track and field and lacrosse.
Well,
I mean,
a couple in basketball.
Oh, I know they've got their basketball.
I got 12, I think.
Yeah, they got their basketball.
Couple
This is true.
couple in football.
Yeah.
So,
I give you that.
but they kind of patted me on my head and said, "Nice little girl."
Now, your family though in Columbia now, mostly Gamecock fans, or
Yes, sir.
You got the grandson here who's a
Right.
student at Rosewood, and he's all Gamecock.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Daughters, 2 daughters.
Are you on Twitter?
I am not, but goodness gracious,
Get on it now
I might get on it now
follow-
just to watch.
to follow Spurrier. Is
Of
that-
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. What's your projections for this football season?
I'm nervous.
Are you?
I'm nervous. I think our super duper run is over, but now we have to build back up, and I don't think it's going to happen while Spurrier's here. I mean, I think he's not going to be here long enough for it to
That's
all the
not
way
what they
back
want to
up.
hear.
Wow.
They don't want to.
Well, let me put it in perspective for you. You erase, and you can't do it, but I'll explain it to you. You erase about 7 plays in 3 games of 4 quarters. You're 10-2. I mean 11-2.
right.
I mean, because they were right there. But the big years you had, if you didn't make one or two plays in the fourth quarter, you wouldn't have been.
Exactly.
So I'm like Lou Holtz now. It's not as bad as you think it is, and it's not as good as you think it is.
Do you still go to all the games?
I do not. I cater a tailgate for a law firm, and so I do the catering, and then I go home and watch it on TV.
So you prefer to stay outside and drink?
No, I go home, Phil. I went to the games.
I know what you caterers do outside while the game's being played.
Yeah, it is free booze. I have to say that. But I went to the games for about 40 years, and then just decided it was time to.
Well, we thank you for coming over and bringing everybody.
Thank you.
Pleasure seeing you. Be right back. All right, coming up in the next hour, post game from USC Clemson baseball, post practice from Clemson. Brad Brownell previewing tomorrow night's game with NC State. Barkley Radebaugh from Charleston Southern. Should you leave us for one reason or another over the airwaves, you can always go to our website, sportstalksc.com, and catch the audio link there or the video link at the bottom of the page. You can watch us or you can listen to us, whatever is your pleasure. Also, of course, a couple of our stations streaming for you on iHeartRadio, our affiliate in Myrtle Beach, WSEA-FM, and in Greenville, WGVL station WKDK in Newberry with their app. You can click on that and catch us as well. So should you lose us over the airwaves, that's how you can stay with us as we move forward. Now to the recruiting report for tonight. Clemson's got its second junior day of the 2016 recruiting season this Saturday. One of the invitees is Bamberg Earhart offensive lineman Drew Wilson, who is now 6'4", 290. And, of course, Clemson's had a lot of success getting players out of that program over the years, and they're watching him very closely, according to assistant coach and recruiting coordinator Corey Crosby. And he says that the offensive line coach, Coach Caldwell, likes him a lot, and they're going to watch him in the spring. He says Wilson now has offers from NC State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Kansas State, Charlotte, and Louisville, and he plans to visit Virginia Tech and North Carolina this spring. USC has tape on Wilson, according to Crosby, but hasn't done much yet towards recruiting him. Sophomore defensive back Wallace Can at Bamberg, the brother of former Gamecock offensive lineman A.J. Can, was at USC's junior day in January. He, too, plans to be at Clemson Saturday. Georgia and Virginia Tech are also strong with Can early on. Also, Bamberg sophomores, running back Jamari Dunbar, the coach says, offers from Louisville, Virginia Tech, Charlotte, Georgia Southern, North Carolina, and Kansas State. And defensive back Dejan Bamberg from Bamberg, Louisville, Georgia Southern, Charlotte have offered, according to the coach. Offensive lineman John Simpson of Fort Dorchester won the 4A heavyweight wrestling championship over the weekend. Now he'll get back into his football recruiting. Recently added offers from LSU and Tennessee to go along with Clemson, USC, Georgia, Wake Forest, Maryland, Louisville, Alabama, Georgia Southern. He was at USC's junior day in January, going to Clemson Saturday. Also plans to go to Georgia March 21st. Also Mississippi State and Alabama in the coming weeks. Linebacker Brandon Hill from Heathwood Hall was offered by Notre Dame today. Running back Tyrek Tisdale from Orlando, a USC target, was offered by Florida. Running back Elijah Holyfield from Atlanta, who has a USC offer, was offered by Southern Cal. And in basketball, Clemson offered 2016 point guard Kamar Baldwin while he was in on his unofficial visit Saturday for the basketball game. He is from Winder, Georgia. There you go with recruiting. Check it on our website as well, sportstalksc.com. It's the top of the hour break.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we are back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Clemson has beaten South Carolina 7-0. So the Tigers, you could really say, own the state this year, this academic year in, let's face it, the sports that the fans right now care the most about, football and baseball. Maybe one day basketball will return to that point, but with the programs struggling as they are, the interest isn't there. I think there's more interest in the baseball series than there is in the basketball game. And, of course, no sliding the women, but let's face it, that's so one-sided right now. So Clemson wins the football game. They win the baseball series. So Tiger fans feeling like things have really turned in their favor right now after a 5-year period in practically every area. It's funny, South Carolina for 5 years dominated in football and baseball, but couldn't win in men's basketball. Of course, they've been winning in women's basketball. Now they won this year in men's basketball, but they lose in football and they lose in baseball.
And Clemson has been winning in basketball.
And Clemson's been winning in basketball. So,
so it's flip-flop.
The pendulum continues to swing. But right now you'd have to point towards the Tigers having the momentum in the competition between the two programs in the sports that people talk about the most right now. 800-956-7266 if you'd like to join in on the program. We've got some time for your calls. Going to get very busy here shortly, though. Waiting for our post game to come in from Clemson and South Carolina coaches and players from after this afternoon's game, in which Clemson won it 7-0, 7-11-0 for the Tigers. They left 8-0-4-4. For the Gamecocks, they left 6 on base. Both teams are now 7-3. Clemson back in action tomorrow at home against Winthrop. And the Gamecocks, they will return to action on, not tomorrow as well, 7 o'clock, their first home night game against Charleston Southern. So both teams don't have much time to either celebrate or fret over what happened in this series because they're going to be right back at work tomorrow. Quickly, let's jump to the phones, and we go to Pee Wee in Lancaster. Hello, Pee Wee. Welcome into Sports Talk.
What's up, Phil?
Pee Wee, how you doing?
Pretty good. I just got one question I need to ask about the Clemson recruit of Jelon Oglesby, the China running back / wide receiver out of Daniel.
Yeah.
He'll be able to come in this class.
He ended up at Memphis, Pee Wee. He's at Memphis. Yeah, went to Memphis. It looked for a while like he might end up at SMU. That didn't happen, but he ended up at Memphis, which they had a very good year.
Yes.
People love that coach at Memphis. He's kind of got a lot of momentum on his side and got his program moving in a positive direction.
So they listen to what Tommy West said.
There's a Clemson fan so caught up in the emotion of winning the baseball series that he just had to know about Jelon Oglesby. Does that tell you the world we live in here in South Carolina? Back in a moment.
When I felt like we were in the middle innings there and it was 2-0 game, I felt like, shoot, we were lucky.
Jack Leggett.
Jack,
Yeah,
first series win overall in 5 years. It's got to feel good to get the monkey off his back, right?
it's. I'm just really excited about how we played tonight. We played really well tonight. Brody Kerner was outstanding on the mound. Been coming.
Jack Leggett.
Jack,
Yeah,
first series win overall in 5 years. It's got to feel good to get the monkey off his back, right?
it's. I'm just really excited about how we played tonight. We played really in command. I'm just really excited about how we played tonight. I'm just really excited about how we played tonight. We played well tonight. Brody. I'm just really excited about how we played tonight. We played.
All right, Clemson beat South Carolina 7-0 to win the season series 2-1 over the Gamecocks. Here is Clemson coach Jack Leggett just a few minutes ago.
I'm just really excited about how we played tonight. We played really well tonight. Brody Kerner was outstanding on the mound. Been coming down here a long period of time. I don't think I've ever seen anybody go from start to finish as in command as he was. He had a great pace to his game. I thought we played really well offensively. Put together some innings, got some situational hits when we needed them, ran the bases well, and we played really good defense. Put together what I would consider a complete game tonight, against a good team. And good series, both good teams. We just have to play a little bit better tonight. Real proud of our kids.
Jack, what is the difference with Brody this year?
His confidence, he's Pep's done a great job with him, and he's, he came from a really tough spot last year where he had trouble getting people out, and right now he's in a really good spot. He was in a great spot this summer when he pitched, and this fall and early spring, and that's what we've been seeing out of him against our hitters, during the springtime and during the fall. But I just he's intelligent and he's hardworking. He's in great shape, and from start to finish tonight, he was just in really, really good spot for us.
Coach, what does a win in this series say about where your team is at right now and type of baseball they're playing?
I like the way we've been playing. I think we're a good baseball team, and I'm proud of how we were very focused tonight, very locked in, very confident. And, we had 3 good games. There were 3 good games in the series, as there always is. And we happened to play just a little bit better this time around. And I'm just proud of how our kids, they've been working hard. They deserve it. And I think we got a good baseball team.
Jack, you had some guys warming up in the bullpen. Were you ever close to
not the way he was going, and he's in such great shape. And he had an extra day off as well, and didn't want. He deserved a chance to finish that thing off. He started in such great fashion and had a great middle of it, and he didn't show any signs of weakness at all. If he had, we had other guys ready to go, but did a great job tonight.
Jack, it seemed like
we're gritty. We're tough, and I've always believed in these guys, and believed in this program and believed what these guys have put into it, and they believe in it. And we've been working extremely hard since the fall, and tonight was a culmination of a lot of hard work. So we just got to keep working this hard. Keep working like we did tonight, stay focused, and take the confidence we got out of this and just keep on building on it.
When you ended the season, were you thinking you weren't quite sure what you had for a third starter?
He solidified it in the fall, but he hadn't really had a chance to do it, for us on the field. And so, he pitched well first weekend, pitched well, second weekend. But tonight, he was in the zone tonight. He was in a really good spot.
All right, Jack Leggett, after the Tigers shut out the Gamecocks at the Carolina Stadium, talking about Brody Kerner, who was outstanding today. He goes the distance and gets the win for Clemson, 7-0 the final score. And so the Tigers win the series 2-1. Chad Holbrook, USC head coach, now just a little while ago taking questions from the media after watching the Gamecocks lose the series to the Tigers for the first time since 2010.
When I felt like we were in the middle innings there and it was 2-0 game, I felt like, we were lucky it wasn't 6 or 7-0 at that point. And still felt like we had a chance to win. They put 3 across in the 7th, and it made it an uphill battle, obviously, for us. But we didn't do enough offensively. Their pitchers over the course of 3 games pitched extremely well, and their position players, their better players, stepped up and drove the ball and hit the ball, and their good hitters made plays, and our good hitters couldn't do much. And you got to credit their pitching staff for that. They outplayed us today, and we'll go back to the drawing board, try to get better. I got to try to find the right combinations because offensively just hadn't been good enough the last couple of days. And I got good hitters in our dugout. I just got to figure out the ones to put in there. Other than that, congratulations to Clemson. They played better. They got a good, solid team. They pitched extremely well. They played defense, and they deserve to win.
Questions? Neil and John.
And for you, it's got to be frustrating. Your infield defense, which has been a strength, you kind of broke down today and you didn't hit through the lineup. It's just one of those days where not much went right. And what could you attribute it to, other than being just a bad day for everybody?
Well, I think we got a few players feeling sorry for themselves, and a lot of times when that happens, you might take your defense out on the field, and if you're not swinging the bat well, and there's no excuse in that. And we do have some talented infielders, but sure didn't look like it today. And we'll just have to go back to the drawing board. With a couple guys hit a ball in the gap, everybody feels good about themselves and they'll start playing. But we got a lot of people. All right, we got some guys in the lineup kind of pressing, trying to do too much. I think that Kyle and Max obviously know that for us to be the team that we want to be offensively, they have to swing the bat, and they're not swinging it the way they're capable of right now. And they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves, and the game can be awfully cruel when you play it that way. And we'll try to get them in a good frame of mind. I didn't bump Max there with first and second and nobody out because he's our best hitter. And I patted him on the butt and I said, Bud, you're our best hitter. You're here to hit. You're hitting in the 3-hole. I had a good feeling with how hard he's worked the last couple of days that he would split an alley, but it just didn't work out, and it was a wrong call on my part. But I'll stand behind him. He's a good hitter that's struggling right now, and I got to try to fight our way to push the right buttons to get him going.
Chad, after the season opener against Charleston, and then today after this game, you have players sit up there and say they, didn't have energy, didn't play with a sense of urgency. And how can you explain that?
That's a joke. If you can't get up to play Clemson in our own ballpark in 70-degree weather, I got the wrong guys in the locker room. If that was the case, that's an excuse.
Staying with that and baseball being a funny game, is it a good thing that you get right back at it again tomorrow?
Well, yeah, I'll get right back at it tomorrow. There'll be some different guys in the lineup, I'm sure. I got to figure something out. That won't happen. That's not going to continue to happen. We were fearful today. It's timid. That's not the way South Carolina's supposed to play. I think we came down with the edge about us. I think we had a good pregame meal. I could see some bounce. The kids were excited about playing. Then we got out there in the white lines and we didn't handle adversity very well, which we pride ourselves on. And we were timid with the way we threw the ball across the field. We shied away from contact with the fence out there and left. Marcus has got a great arm, but after he made an error, he got timid. And can't be timid and play this game in this league against opponents like that. And we got to get that corrected.
A series like this is kind of designed to see what you find out about your team. Did you find out anything about
I found out we got to get better. We got to get a lot better, and we got to get a lot better in a hurry. And as a coach, I got to figure out a way to get the right guys in there. We have good players, and some of our best players aren't playing very well right now, and that magnifies the situation. But, you know, our pitchers, Reagan and Fiore and Schmidt, they gave us a chance to win. Even Murray made some good pitches. But we didn't play defense behind them, and we certainly weren't very competitive at the plate. And again, in baseball, sometimes you're up there trying awfully hard, and the pitcher can make you look like you're not competitive. But sometimes you got to tip your cap to him, but he's not my player. My players didn't perform, and we got to do better.
I'm just curious if you have any idea who may start
tomorrow. I think there's a number of guys I do not know. You know, we need to get Canaan Cropper in there and get him some innings, and there's a number of other guys too. I'll try to release that at some point tonight if that's fair.
Pretty angry Chad Holbrook to the question, not mad at the question or the questioner, but the context of the question, that any of his players had the gumption to say after the game that they weren't fired up. I got to agree with him 100%. Clemson at home on a beautiful afternoon, 70 degrees to win the series, and you're going to say, nah. I mean, that's maybe, you know, you confuse being shut down by a pitcher having a great day with not playing hard. By the way, that's the first time Clemson has shut out the Gamecocks since 2003 when they beat them 8-0. So big day for Clemson in many, many ways on the diamond. We're going to hear from the star on the mound, Brody Kerner. That's coming up in just a moment. Got to mention this basketball score before we do anything else. Virginia, ranked number 2, playing at Syracuse. They've played almost 12 minutes of the first half, almost 12 minutes. The score, Syracuse 11, Virginia 2.
And they're still in the ball game. That's the thing about it. See,
12 minutes.
Syracuse should be up
points.
22-2.
Unbelievable. You have those nights, I guess. Brody Kerner had one of those days for Clemson on the mound. 9 innings, complete game, 4-hitter. Struck out 7, walked 3, hit a batter. Threw 116 pitches, 72 for strikes. Great day for him. He was happy to talk about it afterwards.
Balls and we got outs, and we were able to make the plays behind me, and we did a great job. Is it nice that this program gets a smile walking out of Carolina Stadium when it's been a long time since you guys have been able to do that? It's definitely nice. The 2 years before that I've been here, we've been knocked out of here twice. So getting a win this time is definitely big for our team.
What do you think this series victory means for you guys as a program?
I think it shows we're one of the top 25 teams in the country, and we're a force to be reckoned with. Did you guys feel disrespected coming into a series like this? You went 1-2 to start the season. They dropped you out of the polls. Did you guys feel like you had something to prove coming in? I mean, you always have something to prove. You play with a chip on your shoulder all the time. We're a good team. We know that, and we proved it today.
Freddie, what's been the difference for you personally over last year?
It's just fastball command. Changed arm angle a little bit, and we're able to just fill up the zone, and that's what will let you go 9 innings. That's the big difference.
Last year, did you ever think you'd get to this kind of performance again?
I mean, I had the confidence the whole time, to be honest with you, but it was just a matter of just, working everything out. And we got it worked out. Coach Pep, worked with me hand in hand. He's done a great job with me, and, really appreciate all that he's done for me.
He obviously looked really pumped on that last pitch he threw. What was going through your head as he swung in this thing?
I mean, it was definitely fun. I mean, that's kind of what you come to Clemson for. You come here to beat South Carolina, and, you build it up for 9 innings, and then finally you let it go, after it's over. But that was definitely fun.
All right, Brody Kerner, following the win by the Tigers today, K-Mac has made his way back to us here from Carolina Stadium. So we heard his words, what was Holbrook's expression when he was answering the question about the players' approach to the game?
Yeah, that is as angry, and I tweeted this, that's as upset as I've ever seen Chad Holbrook in that setting. And his face was turning red. Yeah. And he sat there and he said, "That's a joke." And he sat there for what seemed like 10 minutes. Yeah. And I didn't think he was I thought that was it. Everybody's kind of wondering if he was going to take the next question. Then he added a little more and said, if you can't get up for Clemson, I got the wrong guys out there. He's not happy. And his team did not look motivated out there. At least when I was there, I was watching the first part of it on SEC Plus, but they had 4 errors and 4 hits. And, they had the leadoff man on a few innings. They just couldn't get that big hit.
But, great pitching can make you look.
Well, offensively, but it doesn't make you boot the ball around. It doesn't make you make mental
first
mistakes.
2 errors, Marcus Mooney overthrew to first base. All right, that was the first error. The second one, Schrock booted a pretty easy ground ball that would have been a double play, possibly double play. It was just just physical errors on their part. Then, of course, it came unglued for them in the latter innings. We'll be right back. Now Virginia's picked it up. It's now 15-7. 5 minutes ago in the first half, Syracuse winning at the Carrier Dome in that ACC game. Speaking of ACC games, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, set your alarms. It's Clemson and NC State, and we told you earlier the status of things in the ACC with Clemson still in a position of moving up in the regular season standings, but they've got to beat NC State. NC State trying to play its way maybe back into the NCAA tournament. On the ACC conference call today, Clemson coach Brad Brownell gave his thoughts about tomorrow night.
Well, coming off a good win over the weekend against Georgia Tech in kind of a wild game, really happy we had senior day. Actually recognized it on Saturday, and both seniors played very well. Rod Hall and DeMarcus Harrison. It's good for those guys. Looking forward to our last game in Littlejohn this year against NC State here at 9 on Tuesday.
Coach, you played NC State about a month ago. One in Raleigh. Can you talk about the problems they present? And they've been a kind of up and down team this year. They've been very, very good at times and struggled at other times. What do you expect from them?
Well, I think they'll come in and play really hard and play very well. I think, you go through this league and most teams you're going to see, are going to have games where they play really well, and then there's going to be a game or two when you don't. It's just the barrage of the season. I think it's also a credit to the competition that we play. I watched the Boston College game, and Boston College played about as well as you can play in the first half. Made all kinds of shots. NC State is talented on the perimeter. Lacey and Turner can really shoot it. Cat Barber is playing, really well and attacking. They're big and strong inside with physical rebounders, and it'll be a very physical game.
Going into last week, you're part of a log jam at 8-8. How significant just is it to get out of that and get your head above water in terms of conference record and where you are ranked in the conference?
Well, we're just like everybody. We want to finish as high as we can in the league, and we're trying to get our 9th, which 500 record in the ACC is pretty darn good. Historically hasn't been done a lot at Clemson. It's something we've been trying to do on a consistent basis since I've taken over, but it's tough. We got tough games. We got NC State at home, at Notre Dame. It's going to be hard for us. We're going to have to play exceptionally well to do it.
Coach, a question from Greensboro. Ron Hall is 1 assist away from having his 3rd straight year of over 100 assists for the Tigers. And could you talk a little bit about what he means to the team and the grittiness that he brings to the floor?
It's funny. In senior day, I addressed the crowd, and one of the things I just said was, he's like your favorite old shoes. He's just one of those guys that you're very comfortable with. He's very reliable. He's not a flash. He's not the fastest. He's not the prettiest. But he is one of the toughest. And his IQ is pretty high. And I think as a coach, you're just looking for guys that you can trust.
All right, Brad Brownell from the ACC conference call today, and tomorrow night the Tigers take on NC State. Now, tournament action begins this week. The Big South, one of the first in the country to get it going. They've got games tomorrow, and, of course, things really heat up with the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the championship game Friday, Saturday, Sunday over at the HTC Center at Coastal Carolina. We welcome in the recently named Coach of the Year, named earlier today, Coach of the Year. His team shared the regular season championship. They've got the #1 seed, which means an automatic spot in the NIT if they don't make the NCAA. Barkley Radebaugh from Charleston Southern joins us now, and congratulations. Been kind of a whirlwind 36 hours for you, hasn't it?
It has been crazy, Phil. It's been crazy. It was an epic game in the Buck Dome, and you got to get a little taste of the Buck Dome, and when you were so kind to come down, and there was about 300 more people in there than when you were there, and triple overtime, and Saad Nimley with 36 in the second half. It was just an amazing day for our school and our program, and for, most importantly, for our 5 seniors.
Oh, absolutely. What a way to go out in the regular season. Nimley finishes with 38. He hits 8 3-pointers, 8 for 8 from the line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, sold popcorn at halftime. He did everything for you. Is that the best performance you've seen in your days at Charleston Southern?
It really is. He hit 8 threes in the second half.
Oh.
And it's the best individual performance under that type of pressure that I've seen really in my lifetime of coaching, and the many games that I've been privileged to be a part of at the various universities that we coached at is it's the finest individual performance in a championship game that I've ever seen.
Part of being a great coach, I guess you could say, is you worry about everything. So you reach a zenith with that huge game on Saturday. How do you at the same time get your team to decompress from that game and get up to a further level going into the tournament, which they would have to do to walk out of there with the championship?
Yeah, it's our number one concern. And what we're going to do tomorrow in practice is really go after it. We don't play till Friday. And what we try to do is just take every day and try to improve that day. And so tomorrow's going to be a pretty tough day for our guys, and just trying to get that contented feeling away. We want them to be poised. We want them to feel confident, but we want them to be hungry. We've secured the NIT, but the ultimate prize in our league is still within reach. And for the 11 teams that are going to be heading down to Myrtle Beach, it's the ultimate prize. And I want our guys to really want that. This senior class, guys, has really accomplished almost everything that you could accomplish outside of the NCAA tournament. And I know that they have mentioned that is their goal. And we've talked about that since the beginning of the season, and of having 4 goals. We want to grow dependable men. We want to graduate every player. We want to win the regular season. And the ultimate goal, basketball goal in our program, is to go to the NCAA tournament. So it's sitting there. It's going to be very difficult. So that is a major concern. Our second concern is our depth. We're into a 7-man rotation, and Sa and Arlon and Will are playing the lion's share of minutes. And to do that in 3 consecutive days, we're going to have to be really smart.
Really a tough tournament to handicap because, you got your guys at the top, but you know how good a High Point is and can be. And Coastal playing at home and how dangerous they are. Radford and Winthrop, those are the other top 5 seeds. And then, Gardner-Webb, you just saw them very dangerous. PC just beat Coastal Carolina. I'm not suggesting that one of the real low seeds can run through the tournament, but it just seems to me in the top 5 seeds, and maybe throw a Gardner-Webb in there, you've got 6 teams that could really do anything in that tournament.
I think our league has probably been the most competitive and entertaining league in the country, and certainly the most interesting. At one time, we had 7 teams tied for first place a couple weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
I think in our league, obviously we finished first, but to say that we're the best team in our league would not be accurate. We're one of the best teams, and there's on any given night there's a bunch of teams that can win a game. And there's a bunch of teams that can win the tournament. And certainly Coastal Carolina hosting it has a major, major advantage. And they're so good at home and so well coached. A High Point, John Brown, wow. John Brown could play at any level in the country. And you're right, Gardner-Webb. Winthrop is very good. We got a good taste of Winthrop. They got us pretty good at their place. Coach Kelsey has them certainly moving in the right direction. And we're very fortunate to win the regular season. We know that. And we also know that the tournament is going to be very, very difficult to win, but we're capable. We're capable of winning the tournament.
We look forward to it. Congratulations once again for everything that has come your way. And we will see you down there later on this week. And thank you for your time as always. That is Barkley Radebaugh, Coach of the Year in the Big South, head coach at Charleston Southern. Clemson post-spring practice audio coming up in a moment.
How's the progress going for you?
Progress is going pretty good. The knee is fine. Just everyday progress.
How's the progress going for you?
All right, Clemson opened its spring football practice today, and one of those who did not participate in the actual hard stuff, Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, as he continues to rehabilitate his surgically repaired knee. He did, however, come over to talk with the media after the practice and gave an update on how things are coming along with the knee.
Progress is going pretty good. The knee is fine. Just everyday progress. I try to get better each day and just take it one day at a time.
Are you kind of anxious just because, everyone else is going to full reps and you're kind of just sitting there watching? Are you kind of anxious to get out there and kind of really get going?
A little bit. It's my competitive nature to get out there and go out there and be out there with my friends and my teammates. But I know the process, and I just have to wait my turn until I get healthy.
What do you try to get out of this spring? Since you can't do a lot of the physical stuff, what do you try to get out of this spring?
Just really leadership and just leading those guys and getting that unity together and make sure that everyone is on the same page and just grow mentally and make sure that I become a student of the game and get better that way.
You were in this situation last year. What do you tell guys like Kelly Bryant and Tucker Israel who are in the exact same situation that you were? That if you do what you need to do, you can have some success pretty quick.
Just don't press anything. Just take it one day at a time, and just enjoy the process. Don't try to make it as big as people try to say it is and put pressure on you. So just go out there, do what you did. Pretty much in high school. That's the reason why you're here. So just go out there. It's a new process and enjoy it.
Along those same lines, what have you been telling Nick?
Same thing. Nick knows the process. He's been around for the past 2 or 3 years, and he just got to go out there and do what he can do, and just lead the team so far.
It's this new territory for you where you aren't playing; you're almost student coaching in a way for spring. Are you kind of learning on the fly, just what that entails when you're mentoring without playing?
I'm always learning. Each day I try to get better. I try to pick Coach Sweeney, Coach Streeter, and Elliott and Scott. Each day try to get their mind and their game plan and what they really want to do on offense and the different strategies. So each day is just learning something new.
How hard was it to not play the bowl?
It was kind of hard, my first bowl game, and something I always wanted to do, as a recruit, just playing a bowl game. But it was fun. I enjoyed myself and the time down there. And I congratulate Cole. He played his butt off, and all the seniors, and it was just a fun process.
How was your relationship with Coach Streeter? You've been hurt ever since he got here.
I knew about him, being a recruit, but once he got here, we started clicking, and things been going well so far.
Coach Sweeney has talked about how quick you're coming along in the rehab process. Are you even farther along than you thought you would be at this point?
I'm guessing so. I'm not sure how long the process is. They don't have a a set time for when the ACLs should be fully healthy or not. So I'm just taking it one day at a time, and my body is telling me how I feel. So
When it comes time to play games in the fall, do you change the way you play in any way? In any way, as far as deciding when to run and when not to do, or
not at all. It's injuries is part of the game. I can't control if I hurt myself, and it would just happen to be me to tear my ACL. But in my game process or the way I play isn't gonna change. I'm gonna run when I need to, and I'm gonna pass when I need to.
Chad Kelly and Sam Cooper played in the game 5 months after tearing their ACLs. You won't have games 5 months after, but can that be realistic? Do we full go within 5 months?
I'm not even sure. It's something you have to ask Denny Poole and the doctors. I just tell them what they want me to do, and then just take it one day at a time.
Do you have any timetable as far as cutting, running, any of that?
No.
Do you have any doubt that you'll be there for opening day?
I don't. I think I will be, but it just depends how my knee is holding up and what the coaching staff want me to do. So.
Not from a timing standpoint, your work with the receivers and skills and drills, and summer workouts. You still go along with that?
I think so. I'm just like I said before, it depends what Denny Poole and those guys want me to do at the time. And if I can go, then I'm gonna go. If not, then I just have to wait and just come here and be around the guys and teach them up.
Sure. You got to work upper body stuff, just
I work out the same way. I do leg stuff and my upper body workout doesn't change.
What's your latest weight that you're at?
Maybe a week ago, about 205.
Okay, Deshaun Watson, the Tigers quarterback, talking to the media after practice today. Tigers off and running with their spring practice, and they'll be working out, pretty much regularly. Of course, they've got spring break coming up here. They'll take some time off for that. I don't have the schedule right in front of me, the actual practice breakdown. But, of course, they'll be working towards their spring game coming up in mid-April. And, of course, South Carolina, they're going to wait till after their spring practice to start their spring break to start their spring practice, which will begin on March 17th for them. All right, we'll hit a break here on Sports Talk. Get a couple of calls in here before we say goodbye. right, just a couple of minutes to go in tonight's program. We'll have more from Clemson spring practice up on our website. Also, the post-game coverage from the baseball game up on the website as well. Back to the phones we go, and we keep it right here in Columbia. It's the Angry Black Man joining us here on Sports Talk. Hello, ABM.
Phil.
How are you?
Either Oliver France or Triple T. Don't let me come boycott your office. You know. So, be careful, man.
We'd love the attention. Bring it on.
Hey, brother. Hey, everything seems to get back to normal.
Oh, is that right?
Hey, we beat you 7-0 in baseball, won the series. So, hey, fellas, let's get this day, man. Things will get real dim for them Gamecocks.
One year, man, and it turns around. Is that all it takes?
Hey, that's all it takes, homeboy.
Okay. I just want to know. So what happens next year?
Are you from the same hometown as the
No, he went to school. My parents had to get him straight.
And my grandparents live in Denmark. My grandfather lived in Denmark. But like I said, hey, Tom.
Yeah.
Can I refresh your memory? It's 66, 42, and 4. So I'm saying the winning 5 in a row doesn't just put a dead in it. That's all.
Let me refresh your memory even further. It's the 21st century. Take all those 20th century games out. This a new day.
No, you can't do that. You can't forget about the past. Come on.
Tom, a man who doesn't know his past is just like a tree with a root, without a root.
And a man who keeps looking back doesn't see what's coming forward.
Oh, okay. But you have to see the past to go forward. So take care. Like I said, Gamecock fan, just another one bite the dust.
All right, ABM. You come outside and mark anytime you want. We go to Dave in Columbia. Hi, Dave. Welcome to Sports Talk.
Philip, my
Dave.
man is on to something.
How are
I'm
you?
pretty sure that losing Eli and Ray Tanner, this whole thing has swung around now. And I don't know if we're that good of a baseball team because we should have won all 3 games. We left bases loaded multiple times in the middle game, or if since Tanner's left, that team slipped. I can't tell because we lost 2 out of 3 to West Virginia. But the worm has turned, and finally, I think Clemson's back where they're supposed to be on top of this whole interstate rivalry.
Well, when you bring up the thing about Holbrook, let's think about it. In his first year, they got to within an out of going to the College World Series. Year 2, they lose in the regionals in their home park. And now year 3 is upon us, and we'll see what he's able to do. You're not measured by how you play in February and March in baseball. You're measured by how you play in late May and June. That's how they remember you. Ray Tanner did not go undefeated in his years against Clemson. I remind you, he lost to Clemson
including
as well.
2010. They lost 19-6 in the finale.
So
fans were upset. How did that season turn out?
Yeah, both teams went to the World Series. So we'll see what happens. But I think some Gamecock fans are a little bit on edge, not because of this, but because of a little bit of regression in the postseason that they want to see turn around.
Sure,
that'll do it. See you tomorrow night from Clemson. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.